Edmonton Strathcona.
Mr. Speaker, on National Day of Mourning, we honour those who went to work and never came home. Every year, hundreds of Canadian workers are killed on the job. Hundreds of thousands more are injured or become sick, left to fight for compensation they've already earned. They are parents, daughters and sons, neighbours. They are the people who keep our country running. And right now, their lives are worth less to this government than a balance sheet. Labour protections are being gutted, unions are being undermined, and workers who speak up are pushed out. New Democrats have always stood with workers. We come from workers. We are the party of workers. On this day of mourning, we know that mourning without action is not enough. The greatest tribute we can pay to the fallen is to make sure that the living are protected. And so today, we mourn the dead, and we fight like hell for the living.
The honourable member for New Westminster, Burnaby, Mallardville. Yeah, it was just...
It's very important.
They wrote
Mr.
me
Speaker, today arrives to mark 1 year since I was first elected as one of the youngest members of Parliament, born in the 21st century to serve the people of New Westminster, Burnaby, This has been a year of collaboration, listening, learning, and showing up for my community, and it's an honor of a lifetime. In my riding, I've had the privilege of working closely with families, local organizations, and especially young people. From helping constituents navigating federal services to advancing priorities like reducing the cost of living, this year has been grounded in service. I constantly hear about the challenges facing youth, particularly around mental health. That's why I've been proud to support the Building Safer Communities Fund to ensure people feel supported and that they are not alone. This year, $1.25 million in federal funding will help nearly 250 young people gain real experience right in my community. This work has been guided by the leadership of our Prime Minister, whose vision continues to inspire us to deliver for Canadians. 1 year in, this is only the beginning. Thank you.
The honourable member for Kitchener Centre.
Mr. Speaker, 1 year ago today, I got that little blue check mark on election night that told me I was coming to the House of Commons to represent Kitchener Centre. To all the volunteers that dedicated their time, thank you. To all the voters that placed their trust in me, thank you. To my husband, Chris, my rock, who went with the flow when I blew up our lives, thank you. To my mother, Marin, Abigail's life I know would be very different without your guidance and support at this time. I love you, Ma. Thank you.
Hear, hear.
To my caucus colleagues that have been around a while, thank you for your guidance. Thank you for your support. Thank you for our conversations, and thank you for every answered question. I value you all so much. Thank you. And to all of my colleagues in this House, to this entire House, happy anniversary, year anniversary to the class of 2025.
The honourable member from Milton East, Halton Hills South.
Mr. Speaker, 1 year ago, the people of Milton East, Halton Hills South placed their trust in me to represent them in this House. It's an honour I carry proudly every day. In that time, we've delivered real results. We've secured $2.9 million for affordable housing in Georgetown, and we're just getting started. And through Canada's Summer Jobs, we increased opportunities for young people by adding 100 positions this year, an increase of nearly 85%. I've shown up, I've listened, I've acted, helping residents in Milton and Georgetown navigate federal services and cutting through red tape when it matters most. I'm so grateful for the support of my family, my community, my wonderful staff, my fabulous colleagues, and for the leadership of our Prime Minister, who's focused on bringing Canadians together, uniting people across regions and across party lines. 1 year in, there's still so much more to do. I will keep working every day to deliver for Georgetown and Milton. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Edmonton Griesbach.
Mr. Speaker, I chose Edmonton as my home more than 40 years ago. It's a great city, friendly, full of honest, hard-working people. But lately, Edmonton is struggling. People are afraid to ride city trains and buses. Many are afraid to go downtown. They read about violent crime. They see used needles in the streets. It's all because this great city is plagued with a drug epidemic. We've had 613 drug poisoning deaths just from January 1st to the end of November 2025. Fentanyl is the killer. Last year it accounted for 75% of opioid deaths compared to just 15% in 2024. Clearly, the Liberal supervised drug consumption sites do not work. People don't need a place to do drugs, they need a place to get off of drugs. Instead of consumption sites, we need to help those struggling with addictions to get off the streets, get off the drugs, and become productive members of society.
Excellent.
L'honorable député de Compton.
The honourable member for Compton Stansted. Mr. Speaker, it's been 1 year since my election. I'd like to sincerely thank the people of Compton Stansted. Representing them in Ottawa is an honour that I will continue, an honour that I will continue to uphold with conviction. Many others also shared this conviction. 1 year ago, all Canadians made a clear choice to move forward with a results-focused team. And now, 1 year later, those results are there. Concrete help with the cost of living, major projects, agreements for market diversification, and much more.
Of Compton Stansted for placing their trust in me. I remain committed to representing them with conviction and deep pride. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
The honourable member for Algonquin, Renfrew, Pembroke.
Mr. Speaker, once again we see the Prime Minister taking a page from President Trump's playbook. It's not enough for him to sign fake executive orders or hype a memo and call it a trade deal. Now he's importing an American-style sovereign debt fund to enrich his friends. Norway and Kuwait use their national oil revenues to fuel a sovereign wealth fund. Unless these Liberals plan to steal resource revenues from the provinces, the only thing feeding this fund is more debt. Another Crown corporation just means more bureaucracy. This is the same failed approach we saw with the Infrastructure Bank and the Trudeau Growth Fund. They give corporate welfare to well-connected Liberals to build solar panels while Canadian energy bills go up. Under this Brookfield government, corporations can claim an investment tax credit for spending a government grant. Which former colleague or friend will the Prime Minister appoint this time?
The honourable member for Mississauga Lakeshore.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize Canadian Military Intelligence Day on the Hill. The service provided by members of Canada's Military Intelligence Association is critical. Since 1948, they monitor adversaries and protect us against potential crisis. Each day, more than 3,500 uniformed and civilian intelligence professionals enable the Canadian Armed Forces and Department of National Defence to stay abreast of evolving threats, to act with strength and with confidence. On behalf of the Parliament of Canada, we stand in this House to commemorate and thank the men and women of our intelligence community for their duty to national security. Our freedom and sovereignty depend on the work they do every day.
The honourable member for Nanaimo Ladysmith.
Each April 28th, we come together in Nanaimo Ladysmith in Canada and around the world to solemnly mark a day of mourning in memory of those who have lost their lives on the job and to renew our commitment to safe workplaces. Whether you're a chef on a ferry, a scaffolder on a construction site, a machinist in a mill, or an administrator in an office, every worker deserves to know they will return home safely at the end of the day. Today, we remember those who did not make it home. We stand with the families, friends, and co-workers who carry that loss, and we recommit ourselves to making workplaces safe for everyone. But this day is not only about looking back. It's about moving forward. It's about speaking up when something isn't right. It's about supporting one another. And it's about making sure safety is never treated as optional. My door is always open to the workers in my community to discuss federal issues related to the important work they do. Today, we honor the fallen and we renew our commitment to protect the living. Every accident, every injury, and every loss of life in the workplace is one too many.
The honourable member for Pierre Boucher-les Patriotes Verchères. Mr. Speaker, I rise to congratulate an organization in my riding, the Contrecoeur Hunting and Fishing Association. It's turning 50 years old. It brings together duck hunters and ice fishers, and it is recognized for its famous Tip-Up Festival, where a temporary village is built on the river during the short period where the St. Lawrence is frozen over. These are magical moments that enable both casual and serious ice fishers to bring together family and friends in an extraordinary environment. People from all generations going outside during the coldest period of the year in order to take advantage of the wonders of nature. The association also holds an important record, the record for the biggest tip-up in the world. It's held that record since 2016, and I'm proud to have been there when it was inaugurated 10 years ago already. In conclusion, I'd like to congratulate the organization and its president, René Bélan. Happy 50th anniversary.
The honourable member for Labrador.
Mr. Speaker, today I rise with gratitude to mark 1 year since I was elected to serve the people of Labrador, an honour I carry every day. Since forming government a year ago, we've made meaningful progress on the priorities that matter most to Labradorians. In that time, we've strengthened search and rescue capacity and secured critical generational investments for Five-Wing Goose Bay. We've also expanded funding through the Inuit Child Youth Initiative and Jordan's Principle, all while advancing affordable housing and supporting families who are facing the pressures of the rising cost of living. The actions we have taken are delivering real, tangible results for communities across Labrador. I'm especially proud that this work has been grounded in partnership, working closely with Indigenous leadership, local municipalities, businesses, and community organizations. Mr. Speaker, 1 year in, we're just getting started. I remain committed to building a stronger, more prosperous Canada for the people of Labrador. Thank you, Mr.
The honourable member for Beauce. Mr. Speaker, the Liberal Prime Minister was elected on the promise of doing something about American tariffs. But 1 year later, not only it's not fixed, but they've doubled. Yesterday, we learned that South Shore Furniture in Sainte Croix is shutting down after 86 years of existence, which represents a loss of 126 jobs. And this is mainly because of the unjustified U.S. tariffs. In Beauce, our economy is connected to the U.S. economy. And that is a strength and makes our region an economic lever for Quebec and Canada. But the Prime Minister has called our relationship with the U.S., our biggest trade partner, he has called it a weakness. This week at committee, we learned that the Liberal government has held no negotiations with the U.S. over the last 7 months. People in Beauce and our businesses are asking for something to be done about the U.S. tariffs. Otherwise, we will lose even more jobs.
The honourable member for Hamilton Mountain.
Speaker, today on Parliament Hill, we welcome police unions from across the country, including a stellar team from my riding in Hamilton. I got to know a lot of police officers in my previous role as a journalist, particularly in my specialty covering criminal court cases. I appreciated how all the elements of crime were laid bare in a trial, and I learned how doggedly detectives had to work in order to crack a case. I saw how much the officers cared, how they got to know the families of the victims and felt their pain and did what they could to make the process easier. Police officers have truly difficult jobs, but they do it with dedication, and on their off days, they're typically raising money for causes or raising awareness about harms. We must ensure that police officers have the tools and resources they need to fulfill their mandates to keep our communities strong and safe, and we should thank police loudly and often for their vital work.
The honourable member for Haldimand Norfolk.
1 year ago, this Prime Minister promised Canadians affordable groceries. Since then, Canada has become the food inflation capital of the G7. High gas prices are driving up the cost of everything, commuting, eating, and living. Yet the Liberals have offered only a drop of relief, cutting a third of taxes for only 4 months. Meanwhile, families in Haldimand, Norfolk pay more because they travel farther for work, for groceries, and for services. They depend on their vehicles and shouldn't be punished for their rural lifestyles. Conservatives are calling on this government to remove all federal fuel taxes, the excise tax, the GST on gas and diesel, the industrial carbon tax, and the fuel standards tax. This would save Canadians an additional 15 cents per litre. Enough speeches and rhetoric. It's time to stop taxing Canadians and to start lifting them up.
The Honourable Member for Saint-Boniface Saint-Vital. Mr. Speaker, a year ago, I had the immense privilege of being elected to represent the people of Saint-Boniface Saint-Vital. And today, I still feel that it is a great honour. Since then, we have made concrete progress, more accessible housing, investments for our businesses and to create good jobs, and measures to help families with the cost of living. And beyond the announcements and results, what really matters for me is to be there, listening to people on the ground. Whether by helping someone navigate federal services or by carrying our community's voice in Ottawa. I would like to recognize the leadership of the Right Honourable Prime Minister, who is enabling us to have real results for our communities. This is just the beginning. I remain deeply committed.
The Honourable Member for Oxford.
Mr. Speaker, this Prime Minister is proving to be just another tax and spend Liberal. He promised to spend less. Instead, he doubled the deficit, spending more than Justin Trudeau. His credit card budgeting is fueling inflation and driving the cost of living. And that's hurting Canadians. More than half are just $200 away from bankruptcies. Groceries cost more, gas costs more, housing costs more, and families are maxing out their credit cards just to get by. Under this Liberal Prime Minister, we have the worst food inflation, the worst household debt, the worst housing costs, and the second highest unemployment rate in the G7. Canadians can't afford this Liberal government. They must stop their wasteful spending, bring down the deficits to lower taxes and inflation so Canadians can once again afford to live.
Hear, hear. The Honourable Member for Halifax.
Speaker, today I rise to mark 1 year since I was first elected to serve the people of Halifax. And I am so happy to be here. It's been the honour of a lifetime, and what a year it's been. I'm proud that our government is focused on the opportunities that arise in addressing current global challenges. We're investing in major projects at home. We're forging new trading partnerships across the globe. We're securing our sovereignty and our economic resilience, and we're doing so in a way that allows us to continue with our environmental and climate objectives.
Hear, hear.
At the same time, we're ensuring support for Canadians who need it the most. We're responding to the rising cost of living by cutting taxes and launching affordability measures like the Canada Groceries and Essentials benefit, all while maintaining the many other social supports that people depend on. We've shown up, listened, and acted. Whether through nation-building projects or local targeted support, this year has been building a stronger Canada. I'm so proud to be part of this team, grateful to my family, friends, and supporters. Happy first anniversary to all
Oral questions. Questions orales. The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
As the government puts the final touches on today's fiscal update, the Prime Minister's promise to spend less money quickly turned into a pledge to load up the taxpayer credit card and blow right past the limit. He couldn't even stay remotely close to the $31 billion left over by the last Liberal fiscal disaster. In fact, he actually doubled it. So will he end this costly credit card budgeting, cut spending, or at a minimum cap the deficit at the already reckless $31 billion the last guy left behind?
The Honourable Minister responsible for Canada-US trade.
Mr. Speaker, we certainly appreciate our colleagues' enthusiasm about the upcoming spring economic update. She paints a picture which is negative and inaccurate.
That's right.
The good news, Mr. Speaker, is in less than an hour, she will be enlightened by the good economic news, the effective spending controls our government has brought in, and the investments we're making to build a truly competitive national economy diversify our trading partners, and build big once again. Good news is on the way, sir.
The honourable member for Thornhill.
Canadians will drink all that Kool-Aid because they spent more and things actually got worse. A decade of Liberal deficits, and Canadians have the worst grocery inflation, the highest household debt, the worst housing costs, and the second highest unemployment in all of the G7. On top of all of that, Liberal ministers got rich and Canadians got the bill. And these holdover ministers still haven't learned that you can't borrow your way to prosperity. Nope. So, Mr. Speaker, I'll ask again, how much more do Canadians have to pay before this government learns to live within its means?
The Honourable Minister.
Again, Mr. Speaker, we're very pleased that our colleague is able to use the same tired lines that they've been using for months and months. It's great to hear the 8-track, Mr. Speaker, but, Mr. Speaker, good news is on the way. And in less than an hour, my colleague, the Finance Minister, will share this good economic news, and perhaps our colleague will be disappointed that the tired talking points that she's been using for the last number of months suddenly will be no longer relevant, and she can celebrate the great economic performance of Canadians and of Canada.
The honourable member for Calgary East.
It's hard to believe, but this Liberal Prime Minister makes Justin Trudeau look like a penny pincher. After saying he would spend less, he doubled his deficit and added $90 billion in new spending. More debt, more costs, more taxes, more spending, same old Liberals. And while adding to the nation's credit card, Canadians are putting their own bills on their personal credit cards. Will this Liberal Prime Minister end his costly credit card budgeting so Canadians can finally afford to live?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, our colleague properly raises the issue of affordability and cost of living. It's something that I know every member of this House is concerned about because Canadians are concerned about it. But again, Mr. Speaker, in less than an hour, my colleague, the Finance Minister, will be in this House talking about the important measures that our government has taken, will take, and will continue to take to support Canadians in the very real concerns around the cost of groceries, the cost of fuel, the cost of living. Our government's there for Canadians.
Yep. The honourable member for Calgary East.
Mr. Speaker, in an hour, we're going to find out just how expensive Liberal good news really is. And it's these massive deficits that we're probably going to see in the next hour. The same massive deficits that mean inflation today and higher taxes tomorrow. The cost of government has driven up the cost of living. 2.2 million Canadians are going to a food bank in a single month because this government gave Canadians the highest food inflation in the G7 and the highest household debt. Will this Liberal Prime Minister commit to capping the deficit at no more than the already reckless $31 billion Trudeau gave?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, thanks to my honourable friend, who is the finance critic, it must be said, for the official opposition. They keep talking about this inflationary spending. Well, first of all, inflation is in the target zone of the Bank of Canada, has been for some time, and we have yet to see, maybe the finance critic could help us out here, a list of proposed cuts. What do they define as inflationary spending, and how do they propose to withdraw that from the people who benefit, like our seniors, for example? Where is the list? What is it? The finance critic.
The Honourable Député.
The Honourable Member for Charlesbourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, the Liberal government will present its economic update this afternoon. The Prime Minister promised to spend less, but he has doubled the deficit. He also promised to make cuts to the civil service, but he has increased bureaucracy by 7%. In Quebec, 40% of seniors are living on just over $20,000 a year. Meanwhile, monthly rent for long-term care rent has risen to $4,000 a month. When will the Liberal Prime Minister stop running deficits so our seniors can finally have some breathing room? The Honourable Minister of Industry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We are building a strong economy. We are also protecting our social safety net. We are putting our house in order. We are spending less so that we can invest more. And we're getting results. We have the second fastest growth in the G7. We also have the strongest fiscal situation or financial situation of the G7. We're bringing down grocery costs as well. We're also bringing down gas prices at the pump. In a nutshell, we're here for Canadians, and that's what a competent government is. The Honourable Member for Charlebourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. The minister says that she's putting the House back in order. Well, who messed up the House over the past 10 years, huh? Let's be real, Mr. Speaker. Nobody thought it was possible to spend more than Justin Trudeau, but the Prime Minister has pulled it off. And that's nothing to boast about. Meanwhile, the Liberal government has abandoned seniors. They now have to choose between paying rent or paying for groceries. Mr. Speaker, will the Prime Minister commit to not spending more than Justin Trudeau's irresponsible $31 billion deficit? The Honourable Minister of Canada-US Trade. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was enthusiastic in my last answer. I said that the finance minister would be here in under an hour, but it's in under 2 hours that my colleague will have all the answers. He won't have to invent numbers. He won't have to repeat things that he knows full well are not fully true. There will be good news for the Canadian economy, for workers, for seniors, rather than just baseless accusations that they make in this House all the time. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, yesterday the Prime Minister explained that he wants new pipelines because he is a nationalist. So Canadian nationalism means dirty oil? Quebecers don't see themselves in that vision, and they won't want to pay for it either. But last week, Ottawa confirmed its intention to allocate $10 billion of public money to a new pipeline. Yesterday, the Prime Minister put $25 billion into a sovereign wealth fund that seems more like a harebrained scheme to finance pipelines. Does he realize that no matter how many maple leaves he decorates pipelines with, Quebecers will never want to pay for it? The Honourable Minister of Industry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Indeed, in an interview with La Presse, the Prime Minister said that he was an economic nationalist. What does that mean? It means being in charge here at home and using economic levers that we have here as we deal with a tariff war. It's in that context that we announced a sovereign wealth fund, and it's also in that context, in these circumstances, that we are investing in our natural resources and in renewable energy. That's why our investment will be positive for Quebec and for all of Canada. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, there's a lot of buzz in Ottawa about building a new pipeline in the West, but in the private sector, no one's interested because demand for oil is set to reach its peak in 2029. So it's not profitable. What is profitable, however, is investing in the transition, funding clean technology, and investing in climate change adaptation. But the Canadian Prime Minister tells us that in the name of Canadian nationalism, we should spend $10 billion of taxpayer money to build a new pipeline, even if it's not profitable. Well, if the private sector doesn't think it's profitable, why should we put Quebecers' money into it? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, Canada invests in Quebec. We will build major projects in Quebec too. In the mining sector, there's Nouveau Monde Graphite. There will be thousands of jobs. There's also the designation of the Quebec port as the main port of entry of our country. We're also enlarging the Montreal port. We are enhancing the capacity by 60% at the Contrecoeur terminal in Montreal. These are hundreds of thousands of jobs for Quebecers. We are investing in Quebec. That's what economic nationalism is, and that's the advantage of what we're doing. The Honourable Member for Pierre Boucher, Les Patriotes, Verchères. Mr. Speaker, my question is for the member for Vaudreuil, who chairs the Transportation Committee. 2 days ago, he published on social media that he had been the guest of honour at the CTOA, which is an organization that promotes low-cost truckers. The committee just finished its study on the loss of life caused by those drivers. We just heard the victims' testimonies. We just heard the trucking industry speak out against the danger these drivers pose to the public. And the committee chair shows up at their events. Why are the chair of the committee and the Liberals supporting these drivers instead of banning them? The Honourable Member for Vaudreuil. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank my honourable colleague for his question. When I receive invitations from truckers organizing meetings to see how we can make our roads safer and more accessible, of course I'll say yes, Mr. Speaker. Of course I'll accept the invite. And if I were to be invited again, I would again answer, yes, I'll be there. We're going to make roads safer everywhere in Canada.
The honourable member for Calgary-Midnapore.
A year after the federal election, and the Prime Minister has shown that he is just another high-spending Liberal. His costly credit card budgeting is forcing Canadians to use their credit cards. We have $90 billion in new spending, and spending is up 9% this year alone. So when the Finance Minister presents his spring economic statement this afternoon, will he commit to no credit card budgeting so that Canadians can finally afford to live again?
Yes.
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, I do want to take a moment to acknowledge that it's a National Day of Mourning for workers that have lost their lives or become injured at work, and I know all of the members in this House are thinking about their families, communities, and colleagues today. And I also want to speak about the investment that we've been making in skilled trades and in major projects and in community infrastructure across the country. In fact, so much so that we are getting the support of people that I think that the members opposite know. People like Joe Mancinelli from Leuna, who says that the true economic strength begins with those who build it. Or people like Mark Arsenault from the Ontario Building Trades, who says we're pleased to see the federal government's...
The honourable member for Calgary-Midnapore.
As a former governor of the Bank of Canada, the Prime Minister should know that fiscal discipline is non-negotiable and that deficits undermine investor confidence and harm Canadian workers. Conservatives are asking the Liberals to stop their credit card budgeting and to show some fiscal restraint. So when the Prime Minister presents his spring economic statement this afternoon, will he commit to a deficit of no greater than $31 billion for the sake of Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, I speak with workers across this country, as all members of this House do, and what I hear them say is, we want you to invest in our success. We want you to invest in the great jobs of today and tomorrow. We want to make sure that we can access the skills training through things like the union training investment that we have been providing to unions, ensuring that we can attract and retain skilled trades workers to build the major projects and the local infrastructure all across this country. Mr. Speaker, they voted against these measures time and again. They keep voting against workers. Is this a pattern? Are we going to see them continue to vote against the very members out there building up our country?
The honourable member for Newmarket Aurora.
Mr. Speaker, we are seeing more debt, more spending, more taxes, more of the same, and that is what the Liberals are toasting champagne to today. While Canadians are tightening their belts, the Liberals are celebrating massive deficits, and this is the inflationary spending that will force Canadians to take on more debt and make real sacrifices just to get by. So will this Liberal Prime Minister end his costly credit card budgeting so Canadians can afford to live?
The Honourable Minister of Women and Gender Equality.
Mr. Speaker, when it comes to affordability, that member voted against every measure we've put forward for Ontarians. Here are the facts, Mr. Speaker. Parents are saving $10,000 per child for affordable childcare. Right. Kids have been receiving 9.8 million meals through a national school food program. Yep. And by the way, Mr. Speaker, we are making it permanent. And Mr. Speaker, we have delivered income support for over 300,000 Ontarians. These are the types of support that member opposite always votes against. And I don't know why she does, because Mr. Speaker, this is how we build Canada strong, by making sure we're making it in a way that is also affordable for Canadians.
Nice job. Good job. Honourable member for Newmarket Aurora.
Mr. Speaker, we have quite the contradiction. We have a Liberal government celebrating bigger deficits and an entire country struggling under them. Canada now faces the worst grocery inflation in the G7, the worst household debt, the highest housing costs, and lineups at the food banks are surging. There's nothing to celebrate about that. When will the Liberal Prime Minister commit to capping the deficit at no more than the already reckless $31 billion that the last guy left behind?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we recognize that families are still having challenges. And Mr. Speaker, families are now going to the pumps. They're saving 10 cents per litre thanks to our government. We're also ensuring that when they're buying groceries and essentials through the Canada Groceries and Essentials benefit, they're receiving an average of $1,900 per month to ensure that they can help Canadians, Mr. Speaker. They're also going to save up to $10,000 for childcare. We're going to ensure we're doing everything we can to make life more affordable while also investing in Canadians, providing more jobs, and of course building our strong country. Thank you so much.
Honourable member for Lakeland.
This Prime Minister's promised to spend less, but year-end he spent $90 billion more. Who thought Trudeau could be outspent? Well, his former advisor, this PM, said, watch me, and double his deficit. Deficits drive inflation and higher credit card, grocery, and mortgage bills here at home. Deficits, taxes, and red tape cause the worst food inflation in the G7. With high housing costs, high food bank use, and a jobs crisis for young Canadians, when will this self-identified European PM stop his high-spending, high-flying lifestyle that everyone else pays for so Canadians can have a high quality of life?
The Honourable Minister of Energy and Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, these members claim they care about affordability, but they voted against a tax cut for 22 million people. They voted against the groceries and essentials benefit. They voted against $10 a day daycare. I could keep going, Mr. Speaker. We have nothing to learn from them about affordability.
Nothing. Honourable member for Lakeland.
This government has made it so Canadians can't afford essentials, and experts say Liberal red tape, get this, is worse for Canada than Trump's tariffs. Business say Liberals must cut their own red tape for investor confidence so proponents can build. The PM says Canada is in a crisis, but won't match U.S. emergency timelines, put 2-year reviews actually in the law, or even define Canada's national interest. Here at home, it takes over 2 years to approve a domestic natural gas line expansion and 20 years to do a mine, and these Liberals say we're not grateful enough. If the PM says Canada is in a crisis, when will he scrap his costly credit card budgets so Canadians can compete?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we're going to build the strongest economy in the G7, best fiscal position in the G7, second fastest growing economy in the G7, ahead of Italy and Germany. Wow. Just yesterday, our Prime Minister announced the Sovereign Wealth Fund, which will spark massive investment by Canadians in Canada. In an hour and a half, our Finance Minister is going to table the Spring Economic Update to continue our historic growth. It's time for that side to get off the sidelines, help us build Canada strong. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Cambridge.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians were promised restraint. Instead, they got more Liberal overspending, more debt, higher costs, more of the same. This Prime Minister didn't change course from Justin Trudeau. He doubled down, doubling the deficit, and according to the independent budget watchdog, sending nearly 2/3 of new spending into day-to-day operations and a growing bureaucracy. Not real investment. Those choices are hurting Canadians' daily lives. The cost of living has skyrocketed, food bank use is rising, and more households are maxing out credit cards just to afford groceries. After blowing past Trudeau-era spending and deficits, who does this Prime Minister think pays the bill?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Sport.
Mr. Speaker, why doesn't the member be honest with her constituents and tell them exactly what she's willing to cut in order to achieve her very irresponsible plans, Mr. Speaker? Why don't we start with dental care? Or in Cambridge, we've got 11,355 members of that community accessing the Canadian Dental Care Plan, Mr. Speaker. That's 11,355 people who visited a dentist and had an opportunity to get their teeth fixed last year. What about the Canada Child Benefit, Mr. Speaker? In Cambridge alone, 19,621 kids are having a better life and a better start because of the Canada Child Benefit. All programs she's willing to cut for her reckless agenda.
The Honourable Member for Gaspésie, Les Îles de la Madeleine, Lissy-Gouche. Mr. Speaker, since April 1st, the federal government has been unnecessarily slowing down the hiring of temporary foreign workers. Businesses are now required to advertise a position for 8 straight weeks without finding a candidate, rather than just 4 weeks, as it used to be, before they can begin the process of hiring or renewing a temporary foreign worker. Mr. Speaker, outside of major urban centres, we don't recruit from abroad because it brings us joy. We do it because we absolutely have to. And 8 weeks is 4 weeks too long for no reason. Will the government change the requirement back to 4 weeks? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I thank my colleague for his question. We are very aware of Quebec's need for temporary foreign workers, and especially in the regions. That's why on April 1st, we made it such that as soon as a request is sent, it's possible to extend a worker's permit for a year. That measure is specific to Quebec. It meets Quebec's needs. And on the other side of the House, on the Conservative side, actually, they would cancel or cut the entire temporary foreign worker program, which would be very harmful to Quebec and to all of Canada. The Honourable Member for Gaspésie, Les Îles de la Madeleine, Lissigouche. Mr. Speaker, extending the waiting period for hiring or renewing temporary foreign workers from 4 weeks to 8 will result in companies missing the deadline. The regulatory change that took effect on April 1st will prevent our companies from getting contracts signed. There is an urgent need to revert to a 4-week waiting period. Otherwise, the federal government's new measure will hurt Quebec's economy. And it will hurt even worse in the regions. Why not go back to a 4-week period instead of unnecessarily and harmfully delaying the recruitment of workers? The Honourable Minister. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. On the contrary, since April 1st, we have offered a tailor-made solution for Quebec. As soon as workers receive a DSP, their working permits are extended by 12 months. This is what Quebec's businesses asked us for. And as for IEMTs, we look forward to working with our colleagues on that matter. The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent, Akiawenrag. Mr. Speaker, 600,000 seniors in Quebec are currently forced to survive on the GIS alone. 1 in 3 seniors is barely getting by. This is the equivalent of the population of Quebec City, Mr. Speaker. This is for people in Quebec and seniors. At the grocery store over the past year, have things gotten better, more affordable? The answer is unfortunately no, because Canada has the worst food inflation of all G7 countries. And that's been the case for a year, since this Prime Minister was elected. So that's what the Liberals have accomplished.
The Honourable Secretary of State for Seniors.
Conservatives, in voting against the budget, they voted against old age security and the guaranteed income supplement. We have a New Horizons for Seniors program. There's also a credit for personal support workers, but they voted against that. And they also voted against dental care. These Conservatives, I don't know what they stand for, but they certainly don't stand for seniors. The Honourable Member for Mégantic-Lérable-Lotbinière. Mr. Speaker, it's unbelievable. Liberal arrogance is on full display every time they answer questions. We're asking them about seniors who can't make ends meet, who can't afford to feed and house themselves. How do they answer? They say everything's just fine and dandy because of all their grand announcements. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister said that we could judge him based on grocery prices. Well, what's the result of that? 35% of households in Quebec have to pay on credit or dip into their savings to eat. When will this Prime Minister put an end to his credit card budgets so that Quebecers can make ends meet and eat until they're full?
Secrétaire d'État à l'enfance.
The Honourable Secretary of State for Children and Youth. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We brought the retirement age down to 65 years old. We enhanced the old age security payment, or rather the guaranteed income supplement, by 10%, and we also increased OAS for those over 75. We have invested to improve seniors' lives in over 400 communities through the New Horizons for Seniors program. We're here for seniors, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Montmorency-Charlevoix. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister continues to rack up debt on the taxpayer's credit card, creating more debt and more government spending by taxing them more in order to spend more. Meanwhile, families are the ones paying the price, and especially seniors. They're all paying more expensive for groceries, gas, and housing, to the point where 1 in 3 households has to go into debt or dip into their savings just to eat. The Prime Minister spent over $500,000 on in-flight meal expenses during his trips. It makes you wonder whether the Prime Minister realizes that Quebecers and Canadians can no longer make ends meet. When will the Liberals stop squeezing taxpayers? The Honourable Secretary of State for Nature. Mr. Speaker, We are taking care of Canadians, all while developing and strengthening our economy. We are taking care of people, we are taking care of seniors, and what that means is a grocery benefit which goes directly to them into their pockets so that they can deal with the rising cost of groceries. Next, the Canada Dental Care Plan. Well, good oral health is important for good health. That's another way we're supporting seniors. We have so many measures to directly support and help seniors. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We're here for seniors.
The honourable member for Portneuf-Jacques-Cartier. Well, they seem to be delusionary. This Liberal government, Mr. Speaker, needs to stop living in a fantasy world and realize that the cost of living is crushing Canadian citizens every day. Furthermore, our seniors who built this country are now suffering in their retirement. Our seniors aged 65 years and older deserve more respect. Can this Prime Minister stop strutting around abroad, stop racking up the deficit on our credit card, and finally show respect for all seniors by giving them hope? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have the privilege to sit with the colleagues on the Status of Women Committee, and right now we are studying the vulnerability of female seniors. And what we have heard is that we have to continue to looking at the lifestyle of seniors. We've set up various measures. We have a dental care program that directly helps female seniors in these programs, and there are others as well. But what we're saying right now is that we have to continue to support as best possible seniors in Canada. The Honourable Member for Beauce. Mr. Speaker, more than half of Quebecers aged 50 or over fear they won't have enough money for their retirement. 1 out of 2 Quebecers is worried about not being able to pay their bills. And this is the direct result of a decade of mismanagement and Liberal deficits. The economic update is today, and unfortunately, it's once again our seniors who will have to foot the bill. Mr. Speaker, will the Prime Minister stop running up Canadians' credit card debt? Yes or no? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The member for Beauce wants to talk about a decade of mismanagement for seniors, but let's talk about this. We brought the retirement age to 65 years again, and this would have left hundreds of thousands of seniors in precarity otherwise. And we offer dental care now, which helps more than 28,000 seniors in his riding. And also, they refused to increase the GIS by 10% for the most vulnerable seniors. And if I was them, I would realize what their actions are and adjust accordingly.
University Rosedale.
Market as supply expands and rents come down, Mr. Speaker. Okay. But that progress matters, Mr. Speaker.
The member may start from the top.
Mr. Speaker, second time's a charm. Housing is expanding and rents are coming down, but there's more we need to do on social and supportive housing. Will the Minister of Housing tell us more about what Build Canada Homes is going to do to expand access to social and supportive housing for Canadians? Thank you.
Yes. The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Big thank you and congrats to the member from University Rosedale. Yes, we are very happy to see housing starts up 10% year to year, to see construction activity above the 10-year average, as well as seeing average rents come down for 18 consecutive months. We are seeing movement in the right direction. There's a lot more work to do, and Build Canada Homes is delivering on more social, supportive, and community housing, working with nonprofits, co-ops, builders across the country. We're seeing progress, and we're just getting started. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Dufferin-Caledon.
From
1967 to 2015, 148 years, Canadian governments accumulated a certain amount of debt. Over the last 11 years, this Liberal Prime Minister and Justin Trudeau, they doubled it. They doubled the entire national debt in 11 years. This now means we pay more interest on the debt than we do in healthcare transfers. There will be an economic update today. Are these Liberals really going to celebrate another massive increase into the debt that our children and grandchildren will have to pay off?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Labour.
Mr. Speaker, I know the hardworking men of the Toronto Police Service and other police associations are here in Ottawa today, and I want to thank them for their service. Mr. Speaker, we're spending less to invest more. And what we're investing in, Mr. Speaker, is we're building, Mr. Speaker, from LNG in British Columbia to critical minerals in the prairies, to nuclear and transit in Ontario, to ports and trade corridors in Quebec, Mr. Speaker, to the offshore energy in Atlantic Canada, from Newfoundland to BC, Mr. Speaker. We're building across this country. Together, we are going to build a Canada strong for all.
The Honourable Member for Dufferin-Caledon.
We're spending less to invest more. That's kind of the thing your crooked accountant tells you when all your money's gone missing. And this is exactly what they kind of do. They make up words and phrases to cover up for the fact that they've doubled the national debt. Yeah, they're shouting because they don't like it. 148 years to accumulate a certain amount of debt, 11 years of these guys running things, and they more than double it. The result is our children and grandchildren are mired in debt. And all their investments, then why is it the least affordable country we've had in the history of Canada? These investments clearly are not working.
The Honourable Secretary of State for Labour.
Speaking from experience, but look, the Conservatives cannot stand up and say they support Canadians while voting against the sports Canadians rely on, Mr. Speaker. They have opposed tax release. They voted against it every opportunity. They vote against childcare. They vote against dental care, Mr. Speaker. And they voted against all measures to support costs of living. Mr. Speaker, you cannot oppose it all, then you claim to support it. They cannot have it both ways.
The Honourable Member for Edmonton Northwest.
Brian Kingston, president of the Canadian Vehicle Manufacturers Association, took a moment to say in Canada, there's clearly a disconnect between statements and implementation. The longer this goes on, with no resolution on U.S. tariffs, it will have real implications for investments in this country. The only thing the Liberals have invested in is more costly bureaucracy. They are using Canadians' own taxpayer money to fuel deficits larger than Justin Trudeau's. So when will this Liberal Prime Minister take a moment to end his costly credit card budgeting so that Canadians can afford to live?
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
Canada strong, and that is exactly why we have the second highest growth of the G7 and also the best fiscal position of the G7. All that while dealing with unjustified and illegal tariffs on the part of the American administration. All that while our workers in the auto, steel, aluminum, and also forestry sectors are affected. We know the manufacturing sector is impacted by the tariffs. We're making sure to put money on the table to help these workers, help these businesses, and we'll continue to do that because this is exactly what this government needs to do right now.
That's it. The Honourable Member for Edmonton Northwest.
Everyday Canadians don't have time to worry about what the G7 or IMF says. At this moment in time, we have record youth high unemployment. At this moment in time, we have record lineups at food banks. At this moment in time, Liberals want to waste $1 billion on a gun grab that nobody wants. At this moment in time, Canadians have the highest household debt in over $3 trillion. Well, at this moment, we are at year 11 of record Liberal deficits. So when will this Liberal Prime Minister commit to capping the deficit at the reckless $31 billion left by Justin Trudeau?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Finance.
One thing Canadians can count on, which is that the pessimism of the Conservative Party will never infect the members on this side of the House. You know why? Because we'll never apologize about being optimistic about Canada's future. That's what we're here. That's why we're here in government, to build Canada strong. And just shortly, under an hour, the Minister of Finance will give a progress report on our plan to build a stronger economy. There are signs of progress. The International Monetary Fund says we have the strongest fiscal position in the G7. That doesn't happen by accident, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for York Centre.
Speaker, nobody thought it was possible to outspend Justin Trudeau. But this Liberal Prime Minister doubled Justin's deficit. He's putting the nation's bills on a credit card. Canadians will be paying off his debts for generations. I thought he was an economist. Deficit spending leads to inflation. A quarter of Canadians are skipping meals. Will this Liberal Prime Minister stop swiping the nation's credit card so Canadians can afford to live?
The Honourable Minister of Artificial Intelligence and Digital Innovation.
Mr. Speaker, in about an hour, the Finance Minister will give very good news for that member. But instead of just this negativity, let me give some facts. Facts. Wages are growing twice as fast as inflation. Fact. Canada has the highest credit rating in the world. Fact. We lowered taxes for 22 million Canadian. Fact. We invested $6 billion in the auto sector. Fact. Conservatives do not support investing in Canadians. Fact. This government does, and we're just getting started.
The Honourable Member for York Centre.
Speaker, the only people doing well are people connected to Brookfield. Imagine, instead of leaving kids with an inheritance, you leave them off to pay your debts. That's what this Liberal Prime Minister is doing to generations of Canadians. In his first year, operating spending is up 9%. Enough already. We can't handle the taxes, we can't handle the inflation, and we can't continue to borrow like this. Will the Prime Minister stop maxing out our nation's credit card?
Honourable Secretary of State for Sport.
Thanks very much, Mr. Speaker. You know what the good people of York Centre don't have to put on their credit card? Their dental bills. In fact, 11,147 people do not need to pay out of pocket for their dental care because they signed up for the Canadian Dental Care Plan, Mr. Speaker. I'll say it again, 11,147 just in York Centre alone. In addition to that, Mr. Speaker, 27,665 kids. 27,665 kids benefit from the Canada Child Benefit. All programs the Conservatives are willing to cut to achieve their reckless agenda.
Member for Algonquin, Renfrew, Pembroke.
Mr. Speaker, Liberal spending is out of control. Liberal overspending means higher inflation today and more taxes tomorrow. The money isn't getting to Canadians who need it. It's going to well-connected Liberal companies and corporate welfare queens like Brookfield. Mr. Speaker, Canada has the highest grocery inflation in the G7, the worst household debt, the highest housing costs, and second highest unemployment in the G7. Will the Prime Minister, this Liberal Prime Minister, end this costly credit card budget so Canadians can afford to live?
The Honourable
Mr. Speaker,
Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Finance.
More concerned with conspiracy theories than the truth. This is the problem with the pessimistic politics of the Conservative Party, is that it doesn't correspond with the truth. The truth is there are signs of progress. There's very clear signs that our plan to build a stronger economy is working. We see generational investments coming to fruition throughout our country, building industries, creating opportunities for workers. We see wages outpacing double the pace of inflation. We see Canada projected to have the second strongest growth in the G7, and we see foreign direct investment at levels that we haven't seen in 20 years.
The Honourable Member for Aurora Oak Ridges, Richmond Hill.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is just another tax and spend Liberal specializing in costly credit card budgeting. Canada now faces the worst grocery inflation, the worst household debt, the highest housing costs, and the second highest unemployment in the G7. Canadians know you cannot borrow your way to prosperity, Mr. Speaker. More debt, more costs, more spending, more taxes, more of the same. Will this Liberal Prime Minister commit to capping the deficit at no more than the already reckless $31 billion left by his predecessor and mentor, Justin Trudeau?
The Honourable Minister of International Trade.
Speaker, to get more Canadian exports to new markets and create jobs, we are championing major projects like the Darlington Nuclear Project, 18,000 jobs in Ontario. The Port of Montreal Project, 8,000 jobs. The Copper Mine Project in Saskatchewan, 500 jobs. The Grays Bay Road and Port Project, enabling 3,000 jobs in the north. The LNG Canada Phase 2 project, 7,000 jobs in British Columbia. This is how you build Canada strong. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Moose Jaw Lake Centre, Lanigan.
Mr. Speaker, no one thought it possible to outspend Justin Trudeau. This Liberal Prime Minister has somehow managed to. He's added $90 billion in new spending above Trudeau-era levels, nearly doubled the deficit, and operating costs are up 9% in under a year. 2/3 of that new spending goes to day-to-day operations, not investment. The result, the worst grocery inflation in the G7. Canadians putting their own bills on credit cards are going to food banks. When will this Liberal Prime Minister end his costly credit card budgeting so Canadians can afford to live?
The Honourable Secretary, the Honourable Secretary of State for Rural Development.
There we go. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. More good news for Saskatchewan. Funding for the RCMP Heritage Centre done. SMR research at the University of Regina done. Defense procurement for Yorkton done. The nuclear power opportunities and procurement services for Estevan done. Housing opportunities in Saskatoon done. Canola crushing done throughout rural Saskatchewan done. Imagine for a moment, Mr. Speaker, if we didn't waste 10 years of sending Conservative MPs to Ottawa, how much further Saskatchewan could have been, and that ends now, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Terrebonne. Mr. Speaker, I am proud to rise once again to ask an important question on behalf of the citizens of Terrebonne, who I have the honour to represent. The situation facing businesses in Quebec is far from normal. The global landscape has changed, and we must support our businesses while creating new opportunities. Can the Minister of Industry inform the House of measures taken by the government to protect workers and create jobs in Quebec? The Honourable Minister of Industry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'm delighted to once again welcome my friend and colleague back to the House, the member for Terrebonne. And we work tirelessly for our workers and companies who are affected by the White House tariffs, and that is why we've announced $63 million in aid for 99 Quebec companies affected by the steel and aluminum tariffs to protect jobs and help these companies to keep their lights on. These are for employees and workers in Terrebonne, Sherbrooke, Repentigny, across Quebec. So I'd like to thank her for her excellent work.
The Honourable Member for St. Albert, Sturgeon River.
Mr. Speaker, the Ethics Committee has issued a report calling on the Prime Minister to divest himself from Brookfield. Now, the Prime Minister has set up a blind trust, but the problem is that it is not truly blind. And that is because the Prime Minister stands to make millions from stock options and future bonus pay from an investment fund that he personally set up while he was at Brookfield. So, will the Prime Minister finally do the right thing and divest himself from Brookfield, or is he going to defy the direction of the Ethics Committee?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Well, of course, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister, as we all must, all 343 of us, follows the rules which are among the strictest in the world. These are rules that the Conservatives put in place under Prime Minister Harper. The Prime Minister has disposed of all his assets in a blind trust. He did so on the day of his election as Liberal Party leader, 5 days before he was sworn in as Prime Minister, and contrast that, Mr. Speaker, with a 22-year run of not having a security clearance, which is the position in which the leader of the opposition finds himself.
Painful. The Honourable Member for Barrie South, Innisfil.
In a review of the Conflict of Interest Act, the Ethics Committee heard
that while the Prime Minister was Trudeau's economic advisor and chair of Brookfield, he set up one of Canada's largest tax-dodging schemes by hiding $5.3 billion in offshore tax havens. Brookfield's CEO also confirmed the Prime Minister will make millions from what's in his blind trust by aligning public policy with Brookfield's strategy. The committee recommended that the Prime Minister divest his holdings to ensure that he's acting in the best interests of the country and not his personal self-interest. Will the Prime Minister divest his Brookfield assets to eliminate his conflicts of interest?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, it is, of course, these are absurd accusations. The Prime Minister, like we all must, all 343 members of this House, we all respect the strictest rules in the world with respect, and these rules were established by the Conservatives under the Harper government. The Prime Minister has put all of his assets in the blind trust when he was elected to the head of the Liberal Party, even before he became Prime Minister. In contrast, the leader of the official opposition has not had a security clearance for 20 years, and he sits in this House.
The Ethics Committee also recommended the general application provisions of the Conflict of Interest Acts needs to change. That means that a public office holder, including a highly conflicted Prime Minister, can be involved in decisions they benefit from personally, even though they are in conflict. Brookfield COO again confirmed that the Prime Minister will make millions from public policy decisions that align with Brookfield's strategies. Will this Liberal Prime Minister commit today to address this loophole in the law so Canadians have confidence that he's making decisions in the best interest of the country, not his own or Brookfield's?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Speaker, these are, of course, the most spurious bottom-of-the-barrel conspiracy theories and allegations that one is possible to imagine. It is imagined, it is fake, and the members of the opposition who continue with this fantasy tale should be ashamed of themselves.
The Honourable Member for Scarborough Southwest.
On behalf of the good people of Scarborough Southwest. Our government has announced key strategic investments into public safety programs across Canada. Initiatives like the Building Safer Communities Fund help combat new and old threats to safety and security, including gun violence, youth crimes, violent extremism, and more. Speaker, can the Minister of Public Safety outline for us the work that he and our government are doing to keep people in Scarborough and across Canada safe?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, I want to welcome my friend from Scarborough Southwest to this House. Through the Building Safer Communities Fund, we are tackling gun violence, youth crime, and supporting victims through organizations across Canada, including in her riding of Scarborough Southwest. We've also introduced several measures to keep Canadians safe, Mr. Speaker. This includes tougher bail laws, lawful access measures to help police protect Canadians. We're hiring 1,000 new CBSA and RCMP personnel and measures to address hate and protect places of worship, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for Regina Luban.
Jazrak Sadhu, a non-citizen, pled guilty to 16 counts of dangerous driving causing death and 13 counts of dangerous driving causing bodily harm. Yet yesterday he was granted a stay of deportation. The psychological and physical harm to the Humboldt Broncos victims and their families was not adequately considered in the stay decision. To the Minister of Public Safety, will the Liberals appeal this decision and allow the families and victims of the families to be interveners?
Here. The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, let me first express my deepest condolences to the families who are impacted by this horrific act, Mr. Speaker. The decision of the federal court yesterday is that of a judge who, based on the evidence in front of him, made that decision. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, we will review the decision and we look forward to supporting the families in every which way we can.
The Honourable Member for Winnipeg Centre.
Mr.
Mr. Speaker, while the Liberals line corporate pockets with sovereignty incentives paid for by the taxpayer, the NDP is fighting to ban creepy surveillance pricing at the grocery checkout. The Liberals shut this down. They have a second chance. Today's spring economic statement is another chance to decide who they stand with. People getting ripped off at the grocery checkouts or companies that are exploiting the population? Will they act and ban surveillance pricing once and for all, or will they keep protecting corporate profits?
Hear, hear. Excellent question.
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
Mr. Speaker, of course we believe in competition because we believe that competition brings down prices, and that is why we've said clearly we would be hawkish on competition. That being said, we're very concerned with the allegations linked to algorithmic competition. We want to make sure that ultimately consumers are well protected. This is a work that we will be doing as well with the provinces and territories, and of course we'll be there for consumers and Canadians across the country.
Hear, hear. The Honourable Member for Courtenay Alberni.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister can't go on TV one day and then claim that the pharmacare is a nation-building program for all Canadians, and the next day allow entire provinces to be excluded. Newfoundland and Labrador's health minister says the federal government has closed the door on negotiations. Right now, where you live determines whether you can access essential medications. People are being left out altogether. That is not a national program, it's patchwork. Why is this government abandoning Newfoundland and Labrador and so many other provinces and territories while claiming pharmacare is for all Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Health. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank my colleague for his question, and I am aware of the intervention of Newfoundland and Labrador on pharmacare, and as I said, I'm following continuing conversations with my counterparts of all provinces, including in Newfoundland and Labrador, to see how we can better support them. Thank you. And that ends question period for today.
We'll allow members just a moment to leave the chamber.